Yeah, they're going to stick to it. They won't back away. I don't think so. Alrighty. Got some big things to talk about. We got starting with the biggest, Big Benzi with the back-to-back hat tricks. Play that music, son. Huzzah, bro. What a fucking display from Benzema. I know we're gonna talk about the EPL and stuff first, but that was ridiculous. Like I get it.
Can't be stopped, bro.
Can't be stopped. It's not like some sort of a Messi or Ronaldo type game takeover where every time they get the ball, there's chances being created. He's not that kind of player. He's obviously a poacher type forward, but I mean, for what his skill set is, I don't think there's a more dominant way to control the game. Like, you score a hat trick, it's obviously the upper echelon of what a striker can do. But to kind of cap it off by pressing the hell out of the opposition and winning the ball off the defensive line. I know it was Mendy's bad pass, but like the reason it's a bad pass is because Benzema's right there working hard to get to it. If Benzema's off, standing at the halfway line, it's just a little scuff pass and Rudiger gets to it, no problem. But ridiculous stuff. But look, before we loop back around there, let's start with the EPL. There's a couple fumblings last week.
Couple of bags.
Couple of them, right? Yeah. Let's start with Chelsea stumbling against Brentford.
They started off with a worldie from Rudiger. Great goal, absolute fucking belter. And that's as good as it got, really. They Chelsea had a few chances, but it just seemed like they could not convert. It's almost as if they don't have a striker. And Havertz leading the line, although he's good and has actually been pretty good recently as well with his goals. This season has actually been fairly consistent, and he's been playing towards paying off that giant price tag that they paid for him. But yeah, they had a few chances, and he had the handball. He had the goal ruled out for handball, which is fair enough. But he missed that sitter, or not a sitter, but he missed that chance late towards the game, just before the fourth, where it just went wide on the post.
Yeah, that was that little flick through, eh?
Little flick through, yeah. To be fair, I kind of think he could have just chipped it over the keeper. Or maybe a better striker would have found an easier finish. I don't know. But yeah, it just looked. They did have chances, just none of them are really that good. None of them are really taken well either. So I don't know. Just Chelsea seem like they're running out of steam towards the end.
Yeah,
and even in the Champions League game, we'll touch on that a little bit later. But they just look like they were just not in it anymore. They're just literally just like, you know what? There's nothing more I can do. This is as good as it gets. A bit defeated almost. Which is strange for a team that's.
I mean, you could even. It's like, did you hear Tuchel afterwards? He's like, "There's nothing. There's no chance left in this game." Like, that's exactly how they feel. That's how the players looked when they were out there, just deflated. So I think you're right, man. I feel like they're running out of steam.
He didn't celebrate Rudiger's goal, did he? He kind of like just.
You're talking about for the Brentford game? No.
Yeah. He just kind of went, yeah, nice, and that's about it. Like he didn't.
Yeah. He also didn't celebrate the goal to bring him 2-1 in the Champions League.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of makes me feel like he's sort of like frustrated with the team. Like when they do well, it's kind of like, well, fucking, you should be doing that.
I told you so. You did what I
told you. Finally, one out of the 10 times that you decide to actually do it. He does seem frustrated. I don't know.
It's been a difficult season for sure. I'd be very frustrated if I was him to spend all that money to bring in Lukaku and he's completely.
Yeah, especially because like I think the disappointing thing with Lukaku is he felt like such an instant win for them. Like just bringing him 100%. Perfect fit. They were already a good team. They just won the Champions League and they did it all without a real true forward. He's this guy where personally, I wasn't saying like, oh, they need him to be at unbelievable levels to recreate the success they had last season. It was kind of just like, well, they were already good. So if he
Yeah.
just comes in and gives them like an average of like 6 each game, then fuck, they're going to be ridiculous. But he's
Mhm.
given them a solid average of 2, probably.
At best.
He's been awful.
He's been
He's been
poor
so
off the pitch and on the pitch, which is
yeah.
hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah, you're right. He's been so bad that Havertz playing as a makeshift central forward. I get it. He can play in the front line, like he's just he's that
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
player.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think he's a 10-ish type player who's got some finishing capability and some center forward awareness about him, and he can
Mm,
make do. But I
100%.
don't like. I think he's at the end of the day, he's a makeshift. Like you'd rather him playing alongside a true center forward, and that's where you're going to get the
100%.
best from him. So the fact
100%.
that this makeshift center forward is doing, and a young fella as well, is doing better than a genuine striker who's been in the position and in the top leagues for near a decade now. Like it's pretty ridiculous, like how bad he's been.
I'm just looking at the cost of Werner.
Yeah.
Werner was 50 million euros or 45 million pounds. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna find What was Lukaku's price? Do you know it off the top of your
Nah, I
head?
don't remember. I don't remember.
Lukaku.
Just chuck him in
Chelsea.
transfer market. Probably
Yeah,
come up.
yeah, it should come up. It's one of the first. 97.5 million pounds. So
Dollars, pounds.
pounds. So they've spent 45 million pounds on Werner the season before and 97.5. You can do the math and add those both up. That's a lot of money for not a lot of
I reckon.
goals.
What is it? Sub 10 goals? Nah, they can't be at sub 10
Nah, I
goals.
don't
Maybe in
think
the last season they're at
maybe
sub
in the
10 goals.
league. Maybe in the league. What's
Oh, in the
Lukaku
league
on?
they're for sure sub 10 goals.
So
Surely.
he's got 5 goals in 20 games.
Yeah.
This is
And there's
Lukaku.
no way. There's no way Werner has another
Two
5, does he?
2 goals in the Champions League in 6 games for Lukaku. Werner has 3 goals in 4 games in the Champions League and
Oh, in the Champions League.
one in
One.
15 in the league. One
He
in
only has
15.
1 goal in the Prem.
1 goal in 15
Man,
appearances.
he's
Probably majority
escaping
of them.
criticism. He's
He's been
escaping
injured.
criticism.
He had COVID,
Okay,
and
fair. And
Lukaku took a
Lukaku.
lot of the shite.
Like,
It took a lot of the spotlight away from him.
wow,
People forgot
one
about Werner.
goal.
He has had some big injury layoffs this year, a few weeks out at a time with his
Yeah, but he
ankle.
still played 15 games.
Well, the thing is, has he played? We'll have to
What kind of
obviously.
role? Is it 10
What kind
minutes?
of
Is it?
role? What
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of did he come off the bench? How many of them were off the bench
Still,
versus
like, let's say he
got
came.
1 goal. He's got 3 goals
Yeah,
in the Champions League from 4 games, 1 goal
yeah.
in the EFL Cup as well, and one in the league in 15 games. So total, what's that? 20 something games, 4 or 5 goals to show. Lukaku's got
So,
five
so,
in the
so,
league
so
in
we were
20
right
games.
then. So,
Huh?
so we were right then. So, like, between him and Lukaku, less than 10 goals in the
Yeah,
season.
100%. Less than 10
Very
goals,
good.
and you've spent 97 and a half and 45 in 2 summers, and you've got less than 10 goals to show for it between them.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
got a
I
guy,
also.
you've got one guy or 2 people bereft of all confidence,
Mm,
literally a shadow of a player that they bought,
yep.
and the other one's talking about how he's talking about his ex and how he still loves her. Like, it's just, what the fuck is, what a weird, who would have thought that this would have happened? Like,
No, I didn't. I didn't at all.
Werner, I can kind of understand, where he was, heavily touted. He's had a season, and then, second season syndrome recall. But Lukaku, the man was on best form of his life. No one
Yeah.
had an ounce of, I guess, doubt about his talent and what he brings to Chelsea. And then it's actually, I would say it's probably worse than Werner. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, it's worse. It's worse than Werner because, I mean, statistically, there's probably not a huge amount of difference. But,
Mm,
like, the reality was, like, Werner was coming from the German league. He'd been playing with
mm,
Leipzig, where he was
mm,
obviously very favored in that system and the way it worked.
Counter-attacking, blah, blah, blah.
Counter-attacking. Also, the German league, I'm not rating on it, but it's not as competitive from
Mm,
from one
mm,
through to
mm,
20th as the
mm,
EPL. It's not as physical. He's never played in the EPL before.
mm,
Like you
mm,
can, you can put some things in there about there's growing pains. He has to adjust. Blah blah blah.
mm.
Like there's a bit more logic behind where your expectation was to where he performed. Like
Uh-huh.
the gap is sort of explainable, but
Mm.
first of all, the expectation for Lukaku was much higher,
No,
and his
100%.
performance is much lower. So it's just way worse overall because he's
Mm,
fallen so short of where you expect him to be, and there's
mm,
no real explanation for it. Like obviously the fit looked perfect. You know, they're a
Mm,
squad without a real true center forward, and that's exactly what he is. Coming off a goal, you know, a season full of goals.
mm,
Um, Played in the league before, you know, played in that team before. Like, you know what I mean?
mm.
Like, there's so
Yeah.
much that
Well,
there that you can't really, I can't logically explain why he's been so bad, other
when
than
you
just he's a pussy.
yeah, big old pussy. But
Yeah,
what makes me laugh, and I just had the thought. Chelsea has managed to exploit the worst traits on each striker. So for
yeah,
Timo, it's his dribbling. We've
yeah,
literally seen, the man probably one of the worst professional footballers with the ball at his feet and running.
yeah, yeah,
Then there's Lukaku with his hold up play and his passing as a hold up forward. With the
yeah,
size of the fella, you'd hope he'd have some sort of hold up presence at least. Doesn't have to make a great pass every time. Literally exploited that too. It's I don't know how they've managed to go exploit this so badly out of both strikers. It's almost
yeah.
comical. You couldn't have written it any better, really.
I just I'm just surprised at how much they've struggled to get any sort of production out of them at all. Like
Mm.
the thing is, even if Lukaku had 10 goals, you'd still be like he's under expectation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
Like
Yeah.
there's performing badly, and then there's like getting absolutely no production at all, which is what they're getting at the
Mm.
moment. Like
Mm.
it's
Yeah.
ridiculous to me.
Next to
It's
nothing. Yeah.
unexplainable. It's
The guys
unexplainable.
the both of them are coming off the bench. Well, Werner's not even coming off the bench, but
Yeah.
Lukaku's being brought off the bench. You spent almost £100 million on this guy to bring him off the bench. It's
Hey,
funny.
but that's on trend in England, right? Like
Yeah, I was
City
gonna
does that.
say the
Grealish
two
will do
most.
it.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say two. What do you call it? Two of the most expensive signings of the summer are both coming off the bench or starting in
Yeah.
lesser games. But
And combined, they have less than 6 or 7 goals in the Prem.
all right, let's have a look. Let's look at
I'm pretty
Jackie
sure.
D.
I think Grealish is at. He's either at 3 or at 6.
All right. Wait, you locking that in, Eddie?
Yeah, I'll lock in 3, I guess.
All
I
right.
feel
So
like
he's
it's
played
going to be
20
less.
games. He's also played 20
Oh,
games in the league. 2 goals, 2 assists,
oh, 4 goal contributions
and
for
1
100 mil.
goal in the Champions League in 6 games. He's got
24
what?
mil per goal contribution.
There you go. Quick maths.
That's
Garbage.
that's fun.
Garbage.
Like obviously,
Garbage.
I don't feel as though Grealish has fallen as much as Lukaku has, for example. I just think that
Mm,
like it's very indicative of the kind of person Grealish is, I suppose. Like
mm,
if he was performing this way, right, and then you could see it in him, like in either interviews or in chats with his manager or whatever it was, like he's clearly showing that he sees himself underperforming. You know,
mm,
that
mm.
doesn't seem to be the case at all. I think if you were to stop Grealish on the stream, be like, "How you going at City?" He'd be like, "Great." Like I don't think he has a clue that he's doing poorly. Like I don't think he even kind of thinks of it. And I honestly think that Guardiola isn't sitting Jack down anytime soon and being like, "Hey, bro, you need to give me more." Like
Mm,
I honestly think that he's just like another little pet, another little toy for Guardiola. I don't think he's like, oh damn, I have to make use of this 100 mil signing. Like for example, if he brought Harry Kane in, and Harry Kane was performing as Grealish was, I guarantee you Guardiola would be in the press and in his face, trying to get some more out of him. I honestly think that Grealish just sort of fell in their lap, and they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll take it.
mm,
Slap
mm,
the number 10 on him, we'll sell a few jerseys. Who gives a fuck? Because
mm,
it doesn't like Guardiola is such a tinkerer, and he always wants to get more and more and more and more out of his players. The fact that
mm.
he's like just like I'll just bench him, that makes me think like he sees literally nothing in this motherfucker.
Yeah,
Like
he
he's
just
just
he probably thinks like, look, this guy is just look either he works or he doesn't, and he probably
yeah.
sees maybe something in training we don't know, or he just interprets
It's
things
just I,
differently
I
than
just
us.
think like I'm thinking to all the other coaches that have a big money signing like him,
Mm.
performing like he is, they're all like frazzled trying to
Square
get him
in
to
the
be better.
hole,
Yeah,
squaring around
exactly.
hole, make him work,
Every
and then he
all
can't
the other
stop.
ones are like, how do we, he needs to get better. This is not doing well. I get it, the first in the Prem, so there's probably like not as much pressure. But now
Mm,
Liverpool's breathing down their neck. They're
mm,
looking for other options in the Champions League. Like there should be some more incentive here for them to sort of push him, I suppose. But it comes across like it's just an additional signing. It's another man in the rotation. It doesn't come off like they're trying to make Jack Grealish the next big thing for City. Like it just
Mm.
feels like he's another one of the, chuck him in the rotation with Mahrez and Foden and in what's his name? I
Sterling,
forget the Brazilian fella, Sterling, and what's the Brazilian fella's
Gabby
name?
Jesus.
Gabby Jesus. Just fucking like throw him. Like right now, if you were to line them up on a wall, like school style, and you're picking teams, like who's picking Grealish first? Just the English people. Like that's it. Like
Mm.
you don't. They're about all on par. Him,
Mm.
Sterling, Mahrez, like they've all had relatively, like for like performances. No one is standing out over the. You know how bad that they're doing is Sterling, who's been on the fringes for like a 5-year period now, is still getting decent, meaningful minutes in the team.
Mm.
That
Mm.
tells me that even though he's got a list of 5, wingers to choose from, he's still going to that guy that has failed him time and time again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
clearly,
At
Grealish
least
isn't going
Sterling
to
and
shit.
Mahrez have had flashes of great games in them, so
Yeah,
you
of
can kind of
course.
say that they're the favorites and
Yeah,
they've
yeah.
had good moments. But like
But that
Gabby
to me,
Jesus is hot and
yeah,
cold. Grealish
yeah.
isn't shown anything yet.
Like the way I see it is that if you look at that City team, especially with how Sterling was performing,
Mm,
you just kind of go, well, really, it's just Foden that he's competing with.
mm,
Like he
mm.
really should just get a decent chunk of minutes because he's only got Foden to contest with. That's not happening at all. Like he's getting pushed out of position by Sterling, by Mahrez, by Gabby Jesus. Like fuck, dude, you're 100 million,
Ferran,
bro.
even Ferran while he was there.
Yeah, true. Like he's got like a player left the rotation, and Mans is still not more productive and not
Mm,
getting more minutes. Like
mm,
I don't know. I think I don't think it's gonna be a bust tomorrow. Let's say. I
mm.
just think it's gonna be one of those signings where you kind of look back and go, man, he scored 10 goals in 4 years at City. The fuck, like
Yeah.
how good was he? Probably not very. Like
Mm.
that's what I see. Plus, even what you see from the player, there's not like you see a lot of moments from Jack Grealish where, he's trying to do this or do that, or he's putting himself in positions but not scoring or anything like that. No, he's just genuinely not participating in the game. A
Or passing it
couple of
backwards or sideways or
yeah,
getting hacked.
or getting hacked, exactly.
Sacrificing his ankles for the greater good.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people were like going at that saying he was targeted or whatever it was. I think
Mm.
man just wasn't moving. That's it. I think man is
Get
in a
the fuck
spot.
out of the way.
Yeah, I think he's in a spot for so long that he's gonna get cut down. Like, why did no one else get cut down? That like, you can't
Mm.
tell me that Simeone was like, hey, we gotta stop that Jackie Grealish boy. He's really scaring us. Look at Foden. The first 2 touches he had, he's like scored half a goal.
Assist
So
and
if they're
then
gonna, yeah,
great setup. Yeah.
if they're gonna target any player to take out, it would have been him. You know, if it
100%.
was from the start of the game, fair enough, you could say it's some sort of tactical thing, but. Jack Grealish came on the 68th minute. What do you think? Simeone was running on with a note. Hey, kick that boy. Like, nah, come on, bro.
Kick him. Kick him.
I think man
Kick
wasn't
his
moving.
big calves.
He dribbles sideways a lot. He doesn't have a lot of like straight line drive dribbles at
Mm,
all. He's always going to the side. You go to the side, you move the ball out of the way, you're gonna get chopped in half. That's what
mm,
happens every time. All
mm.
right, let's get into the last EPL note here. Actually, no, we got one here that we missed.
No, that's all right. It
Big
blends
Frank.
in nicely. It blends in nicely because it is still about City.
Yep.
We've got the title deciding game, or I guess the first chapter of the last I guess quarter of the season where the titles are being decided. Now, Liverpool versus City Monday morning. What do we think? How's the game going to play out? Are we going to see any surprises? Do you think there's going to be a Pep ace up his
If City,
sleeve? Is Klopp going to do anything different as well?
if
Because
City plays anything like they did against Atletico,
oh,
Liverpool's going to steamroll them. They're going
yeah,
to steamroll them,
100%,
bro.
100%. Not
You
too good.
can't tell me you got 70% possession. Not 70%, like it felt like 90% possession. And
Yeah.
you have to deal with absolutely no threats at all
Mm.
from the other team. Atletico didn't have one shot, not even a shot off target. You know what I
Not
mean?
even a good chance.
Yeah, not even a clearance that ended up in the direction of goal that they could statistically count. Like
Yeah.
nothing at all. You can't have nothing to deal with defensively and 70% possession and still only have 0.93 expected goals.
Mm.
Like, come on, bro. As much as we want to go on and about like, oh, Atletico's anti-football, bro. You have the ball for 90 minutes. How is no one taking a shot from outside the box? 2 shots from outside the box, and you're already close to that 0.93 expected goals.
Mm.
Like, how do they, after so much time with the ball, they muster up practically no chances until a substitute is made? Like, it's I don't think that that was a performance that City should look back on and go, um, Atletico stifled us so much, we couldn't really do anything. No, you dominated the game from top to bottom, and you couldn't
Yeah,
create any chances in the final
yeah,
third. That's a
yeah.
massive red flag.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I just think that game, they were really just, I guess, pedestrian. Nothing until Foden came and played a lovely through ball to De
Mm.
Bruyne. I think that was probably the first time they even got in behind
Yep.
Atletico, which is, look,
Yep.
fair play to them. It's Atletico. You're not going to get that often, but you
Mm.
have to be more creative. And it's not like this is the perfect Atletico team of yesteryear,
No,
or the
they were
best
missing the best
Atletico team
defender.
we've seen. It's not even the best Atletico team we've seen. So, it was a very poor performance, but I have to commend them. They still got the win, and they went out there relatively unscathed. As we said, not many opportunities created. It is difficult, especially on the counter. I know Llorente was looking pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
On that front. But I just I'm more concerned about how they're gonna take to the occasion, because Liverpool, they're 11 games unbeaten. They look like they're literally hitting their peak now, which is incredible to think, with about 10 or so
Perfect
games
timing.
to go.
Perfect
Yeah,
timing.
literally, they're heading into the home stretch in their best form of the season, and there's no major injury concerns.
No.
Everyone's fit and healthy. The team is humming. There's no rumors that are of discontent. Even they're talking about Salah is close to re-signing as well, which is a great thing
Yeah.
for them. I'm just worried how City will take to the occasion, because
Yeah.
again, we saw them in the Champions League last year. They kind of bottled it. They kind of didn't. They didn't not bottle it, but they kind of couldn't rise to the occasion. They couldn't. It was a
Yeah.
mistake where Stone steps up and Mount is free, and they really never. They got close, but they couldn't really all together. Like Kevin De Bruyne is Kevin De Bruyne, and he'll drag everyone by the shirt collar and try find a goal, or at least make something happen on his own accord. But he's only one man, and when you've got a team like Liverpool, which is on par or even better at some stages as well, it's hard to do it all by yourself. So you need the team to contribute. I really hope Pep. One thing I really do hope is Pep starts Foden. Maybe that's why
Has to.
he
Has
brought
to
him off the
start
bench,
Foden.
because I remember the game at Anfield earlier in the season, and when Foden was starting as like a left winger, left midfielder
Mm.
type of role, mate, he was absolutely doing bits.
Yeah, he
Um,
was. No, he did great.
he
He
was
did
easily
great.
the best player. I think he actually did win man of the match or co-man of the match, something like that. So he was really, really good. And we saw again against Atleti, like you said, comes in, what, maybe 20 minutes left in the game. First two
Yeah.
touches are a chance and a half.
He was, look,
0.93 XG from him by himself.
yeah, legit. Like, personally, he came in 20 minutes, man of the match, in my opinion. Like,
100%.
he
Yeah.
he he
If
was
not,
the game changer, most influential player on the pitch. Like,
mm,
I know that
mm,
Kevin De Bruyne probably did like more overall in the game,
mm,
right? He
and
was
had a
out
goal.
because obviously, and he had the goal. But I think that if you point out the reason why they won that game, it's Phil Foden. Like,
Yeah,
it's
he
that's
sealed it.
clear.
He really sealed the game for them. Like, it would have been, I think without him, it would have been a draw, because they didn't
Yeah.
have that drive moving forward.
Nope. Nope.
But look, when he did last play against Liverpool, he was really one of the best players on field. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I just really have a
I
concern
also
about
think as
any of
well,
us.
like, if you like
Yeah, go
personally, like, if you're Pep Guardiola, I don't I don't want to put Grealish out there against Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I'm giving Alexander-Arnold the day off. You know,
on.
I'm giving him a guy that he doesn't have to worry about taking him one-on-one down the line,
Mm,
which is where
mm,
he's weakest. You know what I mean?
mm,
It's you're giving him the perfect matchup, because you're giving him a guy that's always going to cut in and make things easier for Trent, because he's going to go towards his help rather than take him down the line and isolate him where he's
mm,
bad. So I
mm,
just think, like, in a pure tactical, pragmatic sense, it just doesn't make sense to put Grealish over Foden on the left. At the same time, though, I think that this may be the game in the season where we see a bit of Pep, mad scientist mode.
mm,
I think
mm,
this will be the game, because I think he's probably thinking like us, that they're not coming into this on form in comparison
mm,
to Liverpool.
mm,
And I think he's going to feel like we can't just show up and be like, all right, and what worked for them will work for Liverpool. I think he's going to feel like they need to do something creative, something different. I'm not saying he's going to go too crazy, but I think that might be a bit of a surprise in what front three he ends up using.
Giving them a
Maybe,
different look, I think.
yeah, yeah. One thing as well is that I'm kind of aware of the fact that Liverpool's playing at this very frantic, frenetic pace at the moment.
Mm,
Very, 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 very fast and aggressive. No one at the moment has played City like that for quite some time.
mm.
Um, it's been, at least for this season, at least, all the big games, the teams have shelled up against them. I'm curious to see, like, what's City going to be like when they don't have 80% possession? Because it's been a decent string, I'd say about 5 or 6 months now, where they haven't really played anyone of decent level competition, whereas Liverpool has had tight games,
Mm.
and they've come out on top. So yeah, I feel like Liverpool's got it. I feel like they're just slightly ahead. Also, they're playing in the Etihad, right?
I believe. Let's have a look. I want to say it's actually at Anfield. Oh no, you're right. You're
Oof.
probably at the Etihad. Yeah, you're right. I think
Right.
they played the other game
Yeah.
um at the. Yep, it's at the Etihad. It's at the Etihad. So yeah, they played it at Anfield. The other one.
So yeah, no, I feel like Liverpool's got a bit of an edge on this one. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's tight for me to call. I don't want to discount City all the way, even though I do have my doubts. It's hard to count, and especially granted, it's different form and different. I guess what do you call it? Different game to play for. Now, considering the title is a lot closer, and that was more of an early season game.
Yeah.
It's so tight. I reckon it's going to be a draw. That's my pick. What the draw will be, I don't know, but I
Mm.
think they're just so close, evenly matched teams. And last, even though they don't have a lot of the ball against Liverpool, they've shown before that they can handle not having
Yeah.
the ball as much. So it's just a matter of, I think, what will win them the game is hopefully. I don't think Ruben Diaz will be back. He'll probably miss this game. I'm fairly certain that there's
Mm.
nothing new on that front. So it'll be down to their centre backs just remaining composed and really not getting caught in the counter, because I think that's where Laporte can get caught out a few times. He can lose his head or make
Yeah.
a rash tackle or something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
kind of the other X factor in this game, right? It is, like you said, it is it's a more pressure heavy situation than the last one.
Mm,
There's
mm,
actually more on the line, and realistically, if you look player for player, Liverpool versus City on who's more capable of dealing with the big moment. I mean, you have to go a while down the Man City roster before you find someone you'd pick over the Liverpool players, right? Like
mm.
what you'd get to like KDB,
Yeah,
you
probably
know,
say KDB mainly the
and
one,
then you
but
probably would, and then maybe again you'd say maybe like Edison, Ruben Diaz, maybe some big,
yeah, you can
big
if you build
personality players.
if you built a squad of both 11s, you'd have a fucking superstar team with no weaknesses.
Yeah, but like it's yeah, I don't think that the City players are in the same mindset as the Liverpool players are.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like
mm,
I feel like Klopp's really got them believing,
mm-hmm,
and I feel like City has been on cruise for quite some time, and then
mm,
suddenly they check the rearview mirror and fuck, Liverpool's right there.
mm,
So yeah, I think we could see it. No, I wouldn't say capitulation, but we might see a loss where the actual scoreline, the 3 points drop from City may not be as bad as the moral destruction they'll feel
mm.
from the loss afterwards.
Moral
Because
destruction.
the reality is, even if whoever loses this game, I get it. We're gonna say, oh, it's what the side of the title, but it's about what happens in the rest of them afterwards. If
How it
whoever
sets up
loses,
for the running.
exactly whoever loses this game, if they go on to lose another one or two, those losses are what did it. You know what I mean? So I'm kind
Yeah.
of curious. It's like I feel like if Liverpool lose this game, I still have a lot of faith in them still performing the rest of the way through. I feel like if
Mm,
City lose this game, though, I think it'll really fuck them up. I think
I
it's gonna
think
hurt.
yeah. I think City have an easier run in from memory. They've got they
Yeah,
shouldn't
they
have
do.
too many big hurdles to overcome. But you're right. I think yeah,
Yeah, but
whichever
if they
team,
lose it, if they lose a
yeah,
game and then suddenly they're like,
it,
fuck it, the
it
next
could
game
be
is sudden
it could be
death.
the Jenga block that takes down the whole tower.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like Liverpool, Klopp, they've got a much stronger mentality. They're used to
Especially
being
now.
the underdogs. They're used to being backed into a corner. Even if they lose it, I think they're still gonna, they'll find hope and they'll believe. Whereas like this City team is almost looking for an excuse to bottle it again. Like they've done it
Mm,
numerous times, um, and I can't think of a single occasion of where this City team has been, have made an error or gone backwards and had a redemption arc. Like it's
mm,
it's not like that for the City team. City's either wins it the whole way through under Guardiola, of course I'm talking about, because there's obviously that Aguero season, but as long as Guardiola's been there, every season they've won comfortably from at least up until the final third
mm,
of the season.
mm,
You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
I've not seen them go down to the wire and really show that sort of like winning, mentality. They don't seem like that group of lads. Well, obviously not. Their fucking biggest personality is
mm,
Phil Foden, who's like 17 years old.
mm. And also, they always have their eye on the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yep.
another thing. But speaking of the champ, well, actually, before we head off, Fat Frank. Let's look at the bottom of the table. Fat Frank, he's in trouble. 1 point
Big
away from
trouble.
relegation. Lost to the team that's the team below him in Burnley. One win in his last five. They just lost 3-2, I believe, to Burnley the other day.
Relegation fight.
Relegation
Key
scrap.
game.
1-0. They're up
But
1-0 at halftime.
yep.
And then had a 3-goal swing and dropped the game. Um, does
Burnley
he?
scores on average half a goal a game, by the way.
There you go.
So they
Only Everton could concede. What do you call it? Three
ridiculous,
goals against a team that scores less than one a game.
ridiculous, man,
It's
ridiculous.
not looking
Yeah,
good.
nah,
We talked about this being potentially a poison chalice for him. Do you see Everton going down? Because there's still Norwich, Watford occupying the 20 and 19,
yeah.
19th place. And then you've got in 18th Burnley and then 17th
If
Everton.
you if you watch the teams, like
Oh,
all four of those teams, you watch all four of them. I mean, you would comfortably talk yourself into any of them going down because they've been awful. That's the thing,
awful.
right? It's not like
Awful.
Frank's come in and he's changed a bit of the identity or done something with them tactically, and it's just not worked. It's not
Mm,
that at all. It's they've gotten straight up worse in every
mhm,
facet. They're less
mhm,
organized. They don't really know how to defend counters. They don't really know how to defend set pieces. They have no real game plan. Like I don't know
mhm,
what they're trying to do. Like what's their ethos that they're trying to
mhm,
follow. And I think that's the most damning thing for Frank, because there's almost nothing redeemable that they'll be able to take from this if they go down. There's not there's no pragmatism. There's no results. There's
mhm.
no good football. There's no clever tactics. There's no organization.
No
There's
inspiration.
no
No
inspiration, no
inspiration.
nothing. So
They
like
all look upset. I think
he's
that's the worst
yeah,
part. They're
yeah,
not
he's
not
failing on
inspired.
all fronts. And like you think, dude, you're Frank Lampard. At the very least, you should be able to inspire the team. I'm
Mm,
not asking you to go and turn them into like a Bielsa team or something like that, or do what like Xavi did at Barcelona, where you come and you reinvigorate the team's DNA. Like, I'm not expecting that. Just expecting your gravitas as Frank Lampard to at least get these players to want to play out of the relegation zone. You know, and that's not happening. So it's kind of like, well, why would anyone sign Frank? I mean, he doesn't, as a coach, objectively he doesn't have any skills clearly because he hasn't done anything with any team he's had. And then as an influence on the team, he doesn't have that either because he's
mm,
not inspired any team that he's been part of. So I
mm.
think it's if they go down, I think we're gonna go quite some time before we see Fat Frank in the Prem again.
100%, 100%. But yeah, we. I hope for Everton's sake they stay up. Always had
Yeah,
soft spot.
for
Obviously,
the league's sake,
Cahill.
right?
Yeah, for the
Yep.
league's sake also. Cahill, Goodison Park.
Yep.
You name it. Moisey's era. It was all. There's
Yep.
they're always your favorite, your second favorite, third favorite team. In the Premier, it'd be a shame to see them go down, especially in this manner.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully they can stay up, but it's definitely not looking pretty at this point. Somewhere where it actually is looking pretty is the ball at Benzema's feet. That's the
Yeah.
prettiest
Fucking
place
oath.
to be in the world at the moment. Two hat tricks in back to back Champions League games. Really just dragging this team by the scruff of its neck and
Legit.
literally just being an absolute boss, being a proper number nine, you know,
Yep.
scoring goals, being the catalyst for change on the field, in terms of mentality, and also just leaving it all on the field. Like you can't
Yeah,
the last two games especially, I think, and yes, obviously they're the best examples of it, but he really sets the tone for everyone else and really like I hate the word. I don't want to use the word inspires, but I'll have to use it for now. Inspires everyone to do better and
yeah,
get the best.
legit.
Like look at his telepathy with Vinny. Like Vinny this
Yeah,
season, he was great this game too, 2 assists. But his telepathy and his ability to link up with Vinny,
mm,
and also Vinny's ability vice versa, just great. Like one of the best, I guess, buddy cop duos
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
that
I
we've
agree.
seen all season. Where
What a
that's
redemption arc, eh? Remember we went
I
from the
know.
period where
Remember
he
they were
was saying,
beefing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that he's playing against us, that whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
And like,
exactly.
see, the thing is, I don't. This is probably like a shot for no reason at poor old Marcus Rashford. But if that
Mm,
was Marcus Rashford, he's never come back from that. If
mm,
a, if a,
mm.
if a legend from his
Straight
club,
rush.
if a legend from his club says that about him on the pitch, he will.
Mm,
Dude, a fan says that. A
mm,
toothless, no money having, you know, garbage cesspool person says some garbage from the sideline, and Marcus Rashford is in his head for 2-3 weeks. Imagine if
mm,
Benzema, right, extortionist Benzema, sits you down and says, "Bro, you're playing against us. That's how bad you're playing." He will never return to training. That would be the last time you'd see Marcus Rashford with boots on his feet. Like that'd be
mm,
done for it. So for
mm,
Vinny to come all the way back from that, you know, all the way, not just to a level where he's, productive for the team, but literally, now in the talks of this guy could win the Ballon d'Or in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You know what I mean? Like
mm.
to go all the way from that regression all the way back to where he is, it's tremendous. And it also shows you like, maybe mentality is a bit important. Maybe it matters
Yeah.
that you're not a soft cock. Maybe that's sort of important, right? Maybe it's useful being, a little strong headed,
Mm.
in a spectator sport. Who would have thought? That you might get a little bit of criticism when literally millions of people watch you week in,
Mm,
week out. Who thought that they'd have an opinion on the things that they watched? Mostly when we watch things, we just consume them, they enter you, and then you go on
mm.
about your day. You have no reaction to them, of course.
We are nourished by the entertainment.
Exactly. Exactly. My
But yeah,
goodness.
wow, bro, Rashford is absolutely
Bro,
Nagasaki
it's
level
just
strays.
he has to cop him, bro. He has to
A
cop him.
hundred percent, a
Even
hundred
Wayne
percent.
Rooney was taking shots at him. Wayne Rooney
Yeah,
told him to pull his head out of his ass. Like,
yeah.
come on,
But
bro.
with Rashford, he even did lose his shit at a fan after the. I think it might have been after the
Yeah, he did.
City game,
Yep.
where they yelled something at him outside, and he said something
Yeah.
unsavory, and then he did a big Twitter apology about it. Look,
Yeah. That was the dead cat bounce. So that was
yeah,
the so his graph was going like this,
hmm
and then that city that fan staunched him, and he went, "Oh yeah," and everyone's like, "Oh, maybe he does have a head on his shoulders," and then
mm,
immediately Twitter apology and just went back down
mm,
again. Like, come
yeah,
on, bro.
hmm
Someone is sitting in jail right now because they said something racist to Rashford on Facebook. Which I'm
mm,
not saying that's good. Obviously, that's awful, right? But
hmm
like, that's a jail time sentence. Someone cyberbullied a millionaire, and now they're in jail. Like
Hey,
that's
that's Marcus Rashford,
crazy.
MBE, bro.
That's crazy. But then he says that they're not doing enough. Like, what do you want? We need to bring out everyone that says the N word in front of me, and we shoot them in the middle of the field. That's what we need to do. Like, what's going on, bro? Like, what else do you need, son? Do you want? Do we need to hire him like a secret service to walk out to the field with him? Like, it just. What does he need before he feels comfortable? What does he need before he feels like he's in his element? You're at the club that you've been in, that you've grown up in. You've been given the reins. You've got the number 10 jersey. You're an MBE. You got everything besides Boris Johnson actually filleting you. Like, what else do you need, bro? Like, I don't know.
That's a sick image in my head. Boris Johnson filleting him. But look, Rashford tangent aside, I really do agree with all those points. But back to the point at hand,
Yeah,
Real Madrid and Benzema. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I thought about it as I was typing up the notes for today's episode. They actually might be
yep,
a a dark horse to win this thing. If this is
Is
the
it?
way it is,
Are they a dark horse though? If you watched all those games, the quarterfinal
mhm,
games, you
mm,
can't tell me that they weren't the best team. They were the
yeah,
best one.
yeah,
Like City, I
100%.
get it. They won and they're City,
Mm,
but like they did nothing for 90 minutes practically.
did
Bayern looked
exactly.
terrible, right?
Yeah,
Liverpool, obviously, they looked good and all that sort of stuff, but the
yeah,
competition was at the same level. But
mm,
like, personally, like I would, I wouldn't be surprised if someone watched those games and go, I think
mm,
Madrid is the best of that lot.
I think I wouldn't say that. To me, I didn't expect that they'd be kicking into gear as good as they are now, or Benzema um, is towards the end of the tournament.
Mm.
I just didn't expect it to be this good. So that's why they maybe like,
I didn't think they'd have the legs.
yeah, I just,
I thought
yeah,
Casemiro, Cruz, and Modric, to get them all the way to this point in the season, and because obviously they're trying to keep the La Liga title as well. Like they're playing a lot of games, but man,
mm.
they're holding up.
100%, and yeah, Courtois, great saves as well. He really that the save against Azpilicueta's thunderbolt that was flying top bins when I was surprised when Dave's shot went
Yeah,
flying. Then Courtois save made me actually jump off the couch because that was I literally
ridiculous.
thought this is a worldie, what a hit,
Yeah,
and then he
yep,
literally takes it right out of the corner, fantastic, and he also made some great saves even throughout the game.
yep,
But yeah, no, they looked really well. Ancelotti nailed the tactics, really nullified the wingbacks for Chelsea, and really made it difficult for them to play their game the way
yeah,
they usually do. Mendy looks shaky again. Obviously, you
yeah.
mentioned the
He
back
did.
pass. Didn't look really comfortable. It's back-to-back games now. If you count the Brentford game too. Um, I guess shouldn't be concerned, but I guess it's eyebrow raising to say the least. That one of the best keepers in the world at this point is now looking a little bit shaky. So
Yeah, yep,
yeah, it could be just a reflection of the team's overall
yeah. I think
morale.
so. Yeah,
But yeah, they just look spent, tired. Again, same as Brentford. It seems like they've hit a um, melancholy mood in the locker room, and they
yeah,
just want to finish the season. That's about it. Like I think they know they're too far away from the title in the
yep.
league, but then like I'd probably say head and shoulders above the guys behind them in the league. Champions League, they don't think they can win it. It's not that same team that we saw
Clearly not.
last
Yeah,
year. Don't look like they think they can win it. So they're just looking to, I guess, count down the days till the end of the season and,
yeah.
2-3 Cancun. And
Even Tuchel, like I said before, he did have that quote
mm,
afterwards when they asked him, what do they think? What does he think the chances are? And he's like, no chance in the second leg. So like,
mm,
he's already, you know, it feels like he's played all his cards. He can't really do anything different. I
mm,
honestly think that he's just waiting for the season to end to shuffle the deck and get a different, frontline pairing in.
mm, mm.
I think, like you mentioned, they're too far from the title. They obviously don't think they're going to win Champions League. So what is there really more for him to coach towards? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
He's probably already looking like, how can we move this Lukaku guy? Or if we can't, who can we on a budget bring in that'll bring in goals?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think they need more depth. If I was to address Chelsea's woes, I just think they need a little bit more depth, especially in midfield. They
Yeah,
can't
they need
couple of depth.
they need
The players they have on their bench aren't really this near the quality of the starting team. So as soon as you change a couple pieces around, or you lose like the likes of Kante or Jorginho or something like that,
Yep.
the standard of quality drops tremendously. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of I think upgrading certain backup players, but also
Mm.
tying down key players like Rudiger as well, which is going to be a big thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
But also dealing with the Abramovich stuff, they still can't not really out of the woods yet. Their summer's going to be probably shaped by that, if we're honest. How they're going to be active in the market and keep players and see if any players really want to leave, knowing that the situation is getting,
Maybe Tuchel
uh,
leaves.
yeah, maybe Tuchel leaves, maybe some players, I don't know. But,
Mm-hmm.
well, there's still another leg to go. It's not all over. 3-1 isn't a tremendous. They're still in it. We've seen,
Look, if they were going back to Stamford Bridge, I'd agree with you.
yeah, yeah.
But they're going back to the Bernabeu. I don't
Mm.
see it.
It's a
I don't
tough
see it.
place to play for sure. Yeah, I don't see it either. But
They
again,
needed one goal, or they just needed a draw, or
mm,
but They need
Yeah,
to they need to win by 2. Like I just don't see that happening.
yeah, we've seen funnier things happen, but on the next one, Villarreal, we just touched on it briefly. Villarreal, they stifled Bayern. Bayern looked really, I guess,
Not buying.
uncharacteristically, but not very Bayern like. You're right, yeah.
Yeah, not just the
It,
team, but the players individually. Muller was
yeah,
a little bit
yeah, a lot
inconsistent.
of bad.
Lewandowski was not even there.
Yeah, a lot of, but I'd say that the performances of certain individuals were poor, but even the team itself in its totality was really just shaky. Looked uncomfortable in attack. Just a lot of big switches from
Mm,
side to side. And I get it, Villarreal narrow push you out wide and make it difficult for you to go through the middle. I completely understand, but with the likes of
yeah.
Sane, Nabry, even Musiala as
Mm,
well, Fonso out wide, you'd think that there'd be some sort of individual character to break through the body of players that they're throwing at you. But again,
no,
nothing to
nothing.
really show for it. Lewan didn't really have a sniff at goal, if I'm honest. I
Nope.
did forget at some points he was on the pitch too.
Yeah,
Muller was bad, and you never really say that Muller has a bad
that's what I'm
game
saying.
either.
Like he's
He's kind
he
of
just didn't.
average. But
Yeah, like he wasn't. He was lost, because
yeah,
Muller's whole thing is being in the right spot. He reads the
yeah,
game very well.
running
That whole
around.
thing. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
good at that.
but
But the you can kind of summarize how he was off his game when you
mm,
go look at that chance he missed, where it was like that Nabry shot that came across, and he was
yeah,
like
yeah,
a hair off that.
yeah,
That's Muller's whole game, is being in the right spot, and that's kind of what it was, right? He was just off. And when Bull is just off like that, he's practically ineffectual because he doesn't have
hmm,
like he's not going to pick up the ball and dribble 2 players, or
yeah,
he doesn't have
yeah,
any physicality or anything like that.
mm,
He needs to it's all timing with him, and it
yeah,
didn't work out at all.
100%.
And
Mm,
Lewandowski, didn't get a whole lot of service, which is probably more
mm,
to say with Villarreal and how well they did stifling Bayern Munich.
hmm,
But at the same time, he wasn't his normal Lewandowski self.
mm,
He wasn't able to bring a single ball down. His hold up play was completely absent. So like,
mm,
yeah, individual players didn't do that well, but the reality is like it's surprising to see Bayern on a whole perform so ineffectually.
mm.
No one really did
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
I just want to
100%.
massive call out to fucking Unai Emery,
No,
because he game planned to perfection. He
hmm.
couldn't have his team, in my opinion, they let him down a little bit because he did so well to put him in so many good positions. That shit he did with Dan Juma and essentially getting him to stay forward. He
Hmm,
never came back as a left winger.
hmm,
Which like you think, like when you play against a team like Bayern, you want to double up on the wings each time
hmm.
because you don't want to cop anything, especially when you've got Coman and Nabry and fuck, who was the other guy that they played for a bit?
Um, Sane.
Sane, Alfonso Davies coming up from
Mhm.
fullback. Like when you got that much pace on the wings, you almost always ask your
Yeah.
wingers to stay back. But he was
Mm,
smart. He left him up there. And how many counters did Dan Juma have?
mm.
I feel like they let him down by not putting 2 or 3
Uh-huh.
away
I,
here.
I think they could have, yeah, definitely could have gotten at least two or three. Even
They hit the
Neuer looked
post.
shaky as well.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
hit the post.
Hit the post.
Yeah,
The,
they
the
definitely could
halfway
have got
shot that
more
went
value.
by.
Yeah, they definitely could have got more value in return. But look, overall, they played great. I can't pretty faultless game. If
Yeah,
I'm honest. Like again, the only thing we'd say was probably more goals. But look, the fact that they got a 1-0 way at a 1-0 win at home, and heading away with a lead is always a good thing, especially against Bayern.
yeah,
Now it's just a matter of can they repeat it.
yeah. Will it be enough
One
sort
thing
of thing?
one yeah, one thing I did also think about when I was watching the game, that is an intimidating stadium.
Yeah,
Is it the La Ceramica, or I
yeah.
forget
La
what they
Ceramica.
call it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It is.
it's
It's because
such a
the walls go straight up.
yeah,
It's a very small
straight up
stadium. It's only like
very yeah.
20,000,
It's
thirty
it
thousand.
reminds me of
But like
Goodison Park. Yeah,
they're like on the field.
very yeah. They're practically on top of you. It's very I guess and the way the banners are laid out and like
Yeah,
it seems like a I guess like a more closer to a Roman Colosseum type
yeah,
than an actual football pitch. But look, they're gonna go home and they're gonna go away to Bayern, different stadium, different atmosphere. Um, Look, I'm holding hope that they will hold Bayern out,
mm,
just for the sake of a bit of I guess a bit of a narrative, if you will.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely great game for them, and then hopefully they can replicate it in Germany. And
That's what
then,
I feel as well, right? Like I feel like if it all comes down to can they replicate the performance?
mm,
Because I think that if they go out there and they just try to hold the lead for the 90
yeah, it's not
minutes,
going to work. No.
it's not gonna work. They need to go out there and need to create danger like how they did in this game.
Mm,
If they can get a goal, it's that'll be the sort of
100%.
shit they're looking for. There's no way I don't think there's a scenario that plays out where this game ends 0-0 and they win that way. Like
Oh,
I don't think
100%.
it can't be like that.
No,
They
no
can't do
chance.
it. Not
I
in the
don't think
Alliance, not for 90 minutes.
I don't think Bayern would put up two banana skins
Nah,
in a row, especially in the
nah.
Champions League. So
And like one thing is not being able to score when the other team is constantly threatening you on the counter.
mm,
If they give you essentially a pass and they don't attack you, you've just got more time to think about your attack and develop moves from the back and all that sort of stuff.
mm.
Whereas I feel like if they go out there and they make Bayern run up and down, defending counters like they did in this game, then there's a bit more likelihood that it could end up 0-0 because they've had so much to deal with themselves. But if they go out there and try to park the bus, Atletico Madrid style, yeah, they're not gonna. They don't
Difficult.
have the team for it. They don't have the
No,
team for it.
no, not at all. And last one on the billing, Liver and Benfica. Not much to really say. Liver pretty much did what Liver does best, handled them with great ease and swiftness. Kanate got on the score sheet as well.
That's the
Really,
worst marking I've seen in a corner at a
oh man,
professional level in a long time,
that corner,
bro.
just waltzed
The
in.
center back strolled up. What do you think he's here for?
Yeah, mate,
Is he
just here to
what,
say
is he
hello. It hasn't
defending
been,
from our box? Is he
yeah, he
switching
hasn't
sides?
been,
Like
yeah, he
he's
hasn't been
up
on
here
this
to
side
head.
of the pitch yet.
Yeah, he has. There's a center back in the box. You know what he's there for. Mark him.
Mm,
Like I don't understand. He's
just
not a
yeah.
fucking red herring. I don't understand. It was
Mm,
awful in the sense that it's the easiest thing to correct. A goalkeeper could pick it up, like another defender. Where's the captain in this instance? Like it's just
mm,
sort of embarrassing when it's
mm,
if it's like a center mid that's drifted by or something like that. Fair enough.
mm,
You didn't put a man
mm,
on him, but you've got two people that you have to mark in that corner: Van Dijk and Kanate. Two guys.
mm-hmm.
How is he by himself for that header? Ridiculous.
Waltzed in, but
Waltzed in.
yeah,
But
it's.
Jorge Jesus is still coach, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I want to say he is,
He's dog
or he's
shit for defending free kicks, like set pieces, corners. Terrible. Never organizes his team well, which is so strange because that's what the Portuguese are known for.
No, I don't think he's actually coaching there. I think he's
No way. Who's Benfica coach?
let's
Benfica coach Nelson Verissimo.
yeah, because I think they sacked him. Yeah, they sacked JJ.
Well, didn't
Yeah,
fix it.
so
But anyways,
definitely not. There's a whole lot of
but
problems with Benfica outside of the
yeah,
pitch too. So there's another
yeah, there
problem.
is. Old mate Darwin Nunez did score though, so that was
Yeah,
good.
nice.
Very nice.
Raising his
Raising
stock
the
up
stocks.
even further, mate. Arsenal,
Yeah,
come get your man.
yeah. I really do. When I watch that boy play, he looks
Mm,
like a prem striker, like the
mm,
way he is. I don't know if he's immediately going to kick off or anything like that by landing in the
mm,
prem, but when you watch him, he does have the game that would fit in the Premier League.
mm,
I just don't want him to end up at like something like Wolves or something like that because I don't think he's that quality of player that he'll really jump out from a team like that. I think
mm.
he's a nice addition to a solid team. He's not your wonder kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if someone like Brighton that really desperately needs a striker, they would feel a big jump with someone like him.
Mm.
But if like let's say if he signs for like I don't know, like Watford or something like that, like
West
he's just
Ham.
he'll just
Yeah,
drift into
for sure.
nothingness.
For sure. But yeah,
But yeah, business as usual for Liverpool.
mhm,
Pretty comfortable stuff. It's hard for me to kind of use this game as a barometer for how likely they are to win because of the
mhm,
level of competition.
for
Um,
sure.
but I think you have to say like who's your favorite at the moment?
Right now, I'd probably say maybe Real Madrid or Liverpool. I reckon they're neck and neck. Just based off what we saw this week. Yeah, those
Yeah,
guys are definitely probably up there.
yeah,
Liverpool, just based on their overall form, like they're killing it in all competitions. Real Madrid, kings of the Champions League, most titles, and they're definitely playing for it, playing
yeah.
like they
Even
earned that
if
name.
City were playing better, I
Mm.
still would pick at least Liverpool over them
I'd feel
because
more
one.
comfortable putting them in the conversation, but after the Madrid game, I don't know.
Too much bottling, bro. Like City bottles
Too
too
much
much.
modeling, bro.
Too much bottling. Yeah. Champions League is one game, it's a big fucking game. It's normally
Mm.
quite defensive. It's normally quite tight. It's
It's
not very
cagey.
open.
It's
It's the
cagey.
opposite of the kind of games that City win consistently. I'm not saying they can't
Mm.
win those games. I'm
Mm.
saying if you were to draw up a type of game to play that City wouldn't, favor, it's that sort of game. Tight, cagey, heavily defensive, very few chances. They don't like those games because they need 10 chances to score. That's the reality. They don't have a striker. They don't have
Mm.
anyone out there that you give them a quarter chance and you put it away. That doesn't exist. So if a game goes by where they're struggling to create chances, the thing that happens with Atletico Madrid happens to them, where they
Mhm.
go 90 minutes with nearly 80% possession, no shots to deal with, and they themselves only create 0.93 expected goals. So
Mm.
if you have a 0.93 expected goals game against Liverpool or Real Madrid, you're fucked. It's not gonna work. So yeah, I'm with you. Liverpool, Real Madrid. Obviously, leaning more towards Liverpool because they're better form, better overall team. All
Yeah,
that sort of
100%.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But Madrid just they got something about them this year. Just
Mm-hmm. Got a bit of
something.
sauce about him.
Yeah, yeah. Benzema's just in his bag. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this will be if they win it. This will be the thing that sets Benzema apart from the generation of strikers that he's compared with
Uh-huh.
where Suarez doesn't have that. Lewandowski doesn't have that. He doesn't have a year where solo he took a team to the Champions League. They don't have that in their history. So
Mm-hmm.
if Benzema can do that, he'll really, really separate himself from your likes of Suarez and Leva and Cavani and all the other top generational strikers that are dwarfed by the Messi and Ronaldo numbers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. And sets himself down as a Real Madrid legend.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
Alrighty. Let's. Is there anything else you wanted to wrap up on for the Champions League? Did we cover the City Madrid game enough?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier, a little bit, but look, again, Madrid played the way we expected them, parked the bus, made it difficult to break down.
Yeah.
Foden was a game changer off the bench. Simeone's subs were bad. Really killed. What? You say something? Fix your mic. It's ruffling up a fuck ton.
Is that better?
Yeah, it's better. It was just sounds like you were outside. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, no. In contrast, Simeone's subs were terrible. Really killed whatever momentum he had in the game or whatever foothold he had in the game, right
Took
out
out
the
his
window.
exit options as well. Like his
Mm.
one outlet, his one consistent outlet was Llorente, and he
Llorente.
took him
Mm.
out. It's
Yeah, and then
illogical.
to have all players
Simeone's
who do nothing is just weird. It's terrible.
Simeone's substitutes in or substitutions in the last 3, 4 Champions League games. I think all of them have made the team worse. I'm just trying to think
Mm.
of a sub that he's made where, like, yeah, that was good and it improved the
I
team. Like,
can't.
it's
Yeah.
always
To
gone
be fair,
backwards.
I don't recollect. To be fair, I can't recollect all his substitutions that he's made recently, besides the one in the City game. But he always has problems utilizing his bench and
Yeah,
rotation. It's always been
yeah.
a problem for him that he hasn't figured out yet.
Well, I think he
So,
sets them up in a fashion so tight in the beginning, like that starting lineup, whatever goes out there, they each have such a key role to play that I feel like you pull one out, it's like the Jenga piece sort of thing, where
mhm,
it's
mhm,
hard to get someone to go in and pick up exactly where the last guy left off. So I think
mhm,
that might do him in sometimes. It's
mhm,
just like too much pragmatism. He doesn't leave any real room for flexibility. That's just not how he
mhm,
coaches. At the same
mhm,
time, though, like I kind of I'm more willing to praise uh, Simeone for getting this result than I am willing to give praise to Guardiola for getting the same result. Because the way I
mhm,
see it is they came in and they played exactly how you expected, right? But were completely ineffectual offensively, right? So you know exactly how they're setting up defensively, and then you have nothing to deal with on the other side. So you have 100% focus and domination of the ball in their third. You got a team like City that's all about rotation and pull this guy that way and do this and do that, and everyone's bought in and you can plug and play, and you've got everything at your disposal, and you create nada essentially,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
To me, that's a failing on the coach and the team. It's not what Simeone played such strong anti-football that the football gods themselves decided this game will be inconsequential. Like it's not such a great sin what Simeone did that we need to kind of cast him in this sort of pariah light, like, oh, he's destroying football. No, he came out and executed his game plan perfectly, I reckon, except for the offensive side, right? So there's more in that to take away that he did well as a coach than what Guardiola did. Because what Guardiola did was have the ball for 80% of the time and create less than one full chance. That's not good. It's just unequivocally not good. Whereas if you're the defensive team and you go out there to keep a low score line and stifle the opportunities created by the other team, well, they 100% did that, didn't they? There's no way you can tell me they didn't. So yeah, is it nice football? Is it good? Is it what you want to see out there on the pitch? It's a no for all of them, of course. But if you showed me, if both of those coaches gave me a cheat sheet of their game plan, I can guarantee you more boxes were ticked on Simeone's side than they were on Guardiola's.
100%, 100%.
So I get it. It's shit football.
Yeah.
I get it. It's shit football, but it's effectual, and it's didn't get the job done, but they did what they set out to do, which is at least somewhat admirable. You know what I mean?
100%.
Whereas with City, they got out by the skin of their teeth. I think they're a little bit lucky for the result because it could have quite easily ended 0-0. And personally, I don't think they're in a comfortable position because if that's what they were able to do in the Etihad, then imagine how they're going to be able to shut up shop in the Wanda Metropolitana. Imagine the sound in the stadium every time they get a counter attack. Like this is going to be a big shift for the City players, a big shift. Because do they go out and attack? Like, what do they do? Right? Like, because now you got the 1-0. Pep's never been the guy to protect the lead, obviously, but like, it's a very slim lead and there's no away goals. Like, you go out there and you start, having 6 or 7 City players camp inside the Atletico box. One counter, and you fuck. So like, this is gonna be. Pep's really got 2 very difficult games coming up. The Liverpool game and this Atletico game. He's in for some big thinking.
Big thinking with his big head, but it's they're definitely not out of the woods. Not even close. Especially with Atleti. But I think overall, Simeone needs to. I think he gets the defensive part right, but I think he just. I get what he wants to do, and I think he's playing off one-touch passes on the counter works, but you just gotta let some blokes off their leash a little bit more. Like Llorente, João Felix, like let them off just a little bit more, or play 2 small strikers like Griezmann and João Felix, so they can nip in behind, or they may not be an aerial threat, but they'll be able to get in behind, use their pace, use their positioning. They're both clever, tricky players. They can get between the centre backs and squeeze through, or dart through, or play a little one-touch pass over the top for guys like Lodi or Llorente or something like that. So I think he has to open up a little bit more. But at what risk do you open up more?
Spoiler alert, he won't. Like, there's no way. They're gonna play super narrow.
I think he's gonna start loading. Yeah, next game, and give Llorente something to do, or a counterpart. Sorry.
They'll play more attacking than the last game, obviously, because they need a goal. But they're gonna shut up shop in the same sort of way defensively. It's sort of when they spring into action, how they're gonna do it. It'll be different to the last time.
That's the part he needs to fix.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, man, like in that stadium, with everyone screaming on every counter attack. I feel like City's in for a big shift, and I feel like if they win, it should be lauded for as a big victory, because they're not in a good position right now. I think it's not as bad a position as if it was 0-0 or 1-0 down, but still they're not in a comfortable spot, especially with no away goals. The no away goals thing really changes this for them, because if you had away goals, like you're 1-0 up, but you've kept them to 0 away from home, so you score a goal and you're already ahead again. So
it's 3-0 at that point.
Yeah, it's made it completely different now. So very curious to see how it plays out. But I think both of us probably see it going more towards City, obviously.
Yeah. I still think it's just, I feel like a lot more things have to go right for Atleti than it does for City to get a result.
Well, it's just going to be very hard for Atleti to score a goal if they don't take a shot like they did last game.
You got to shoot shots to score, Michael Owen.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You gotta. Maybe that's what Simeone needs. Maybe he just needs someone that's really dumb and obvious like that. He's probably thinking too big brain. Maybe he just needs someone to come in there and be like, "Hey, we need a goal, Gaff." And he's like, "Ah,
Get Owen in there, mate, as
yeah."
assistant manager. What I wanna do is take a shot, mate.
Change his name, Miguel Owen.
Miguel Owens.
Alrighty, let's wrap it up here. Follow us on the socials at LastGoWinsPod _ on Instagram, at LastGoWinsPod on Twitter, at LastGoWinsPodcast on Facebook. All glory be to Bozza. Tunes.